Hello YouTube, this is True Champion Caven and True Champion Isaac. Today with ALC top 5 cards to look out for.
Is this like the Pawnee, Indiana?
Yeah. I was just
fonts for your fonts.
Yeah. I was just so hype on the Patreon. I'm trying to balance it out, you know?
Yeah, if you don't know what you're talking about, check out the Patreon for our podcast. There you go, little plug.
Apologize for your ears in advance. So yeah, YouTube, today we have 5 cards from ALC Altar that we're just kind of like watching out for.
Yeah.
Cards that we think are really strong, but maybe didn't see any results over this past weekend of our first ALC Altar Regionals events. There was 4 events in one weekend, which is pretty huge, all happening immediately after release, basically. And so, yeah, these aren't in any particular order, just kind of like top 5 cards to keep an eye on. So, Isaac, why don't you start us off on our first one?
Yeah, the first one I'll start with is just Nico, level 1 Nico, Rapture's Embrace. So, we kind of talked about this before, actually, on our Patreon during one of the podcasts, and it's a card that we fully expect to be very, very strong. I don't think anyone here, like in GA, would disagree that it isn't strong right now. It's just that right now there's better options for what the meta is, and that option is Sylvie with the animal package, or the tamer package, essentially with Bovine and Rippleback. Those are both very good cards, and it allows you to apply a lot of pressure. Allows you to have a more consistent mill that doesn't rely on Fractal or Icebound Slam.
Yeah.
So that's why it's there. But Nico being, not just because it's Nico, honestly, which does come up, but more importantly that it's a Tamer Guardian. Yeah. Or, sorry, not Tamer, but it's a Guardian instead of Tamer.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. That class bonus is huge and allows you to do stuff like Icebound Slam for cheaper, or get certain items or whatever it may be online before you might need to. Actually, the whole Nico thing is where that comes into play with stuff like Facade, which is coming out or which is out now too.
Or Finale.
Or just Ravaging Finale for 6 damage. That is a lot of damage, and might be able to mill them out. You know, so that's very big. I don't want to talk about too much. Do you have any other thoughts?
Sure.
On it? Yeah.
I think it just opens up Water's pool as well going forward. When you see new cards come out in future set, you might see, oh, cool, there's this Water Tamer card that's really good to play turn 2 or something, right? Or you might see, oh, there's this Water Guardian card that's really good to play turn 2. And so it might just influence your deck building decisions, and getting access to that 6 health from Serene Spirit and still having a Water Element champion, really huge, because Water can't do that.
Exactly.
So, did you just say that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. You just looked at me like I was just repeating what you said.
No, you're good. Honestly, I can't quite remember what I said, but
there's a lot of utility with this card.
Yes.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. It is just not strong in the current meta, which is why I don't think we had any success with it.
Yep.
Cool.
And I definitely think keep an eye on it for during HVN. These cards, none of them are in order from like highest to lowest. There's not like a ranking here. There's just 5 cards that we want you to keep your eye on, to not just like forget about or just to sell for super cheap because you want to just get it out of your hands, because we think there's going to be some kind of value to these later on.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just keep the theme of champions. So Vanitas level 3, definitely one of the most hyped cards when it got spoiled, and I think just because of how cool it is. Having a level 3 champion for Vanitas, getting this lineage break champion that is now 1 through 3 for levels, so now it has a full lineage. Really interesting thing. It does only have wind as its 3rd element, so you're not unlocking a advanced element, which is the strongest cards in the game. It's an awkward card, honestly. I still don't exactly know what a level 3 Vanitas list looks like. I've always kind of imagined it with allies, and I think that might be why we're not seeing it pop in yet. I think that this isn't like level 1 Nico where it's like really obvious as to what it's doing and what its game plan is, what type of deck you build around it. And also, I do see this being in more of an allies list, which allies right now is just not very good. Again, aggro not super well in the meta. So really awkward card, but definitely a versatile and strong card that just might need time to be worked with and figure out what its strengths and weaknesses are, and also it just might not be appropriate in the meta right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely one of those cards that also lends itself to an actual mid-range game plan.
Yeah.
Because it's not that 3rd level element. You literally can't get to a 3rd level element game plan. So it's like it's allowing this new idea to start to form within GA, which is kind of cool. One thing I also think that maybe they might do, and something I wouldn't be surprised if they do, is like banishing all your lower lineages. so it would remove that element bonus. But if you're level 3 Vanitas, or you have a higher, that already has
Sure.
a highest champion lineage, it won't really matter. Oh, because you still have wind. So you get rid of all your wind, your basic element, but you at least still have a basic element.
It'd be interesting if they like printed like a norm card that's like heal 2 for every champion you remove from your lineage or something like that, right? And then you're like, okay, yeet one spirit through level 2 for Vanitas, right? Whereas like other champions wouldn't really get that much use out of it.
Because they would lose fire or water or wind, but you would at least get to keep it. You could do it on like Nico and Polcock as well, but definitely cool if you could get to level 3. So, but the next card, keeping with wind, is Reconnaissance Scout. So I'm actually surprised we didn't see anything with this.
I thought this would be one of the sneak decks of the format.
Reconnaissance Scout to drop 1/2 ally ranger automaton, fast activation and range 2, no class bonus there, but then it has class bonus on enter. Another target unit you control becomes distant and prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to that unit this turn. There's a lot of text on it that makes it really, really good. It makes it basically a spell with a body, or an action with a body.
This is basically skirting step. Instead of drawing a card, it puts a 1/2 ranged unit on board.
Automaton too.
Automaton, which is very relevant.
Yeah, we've seen automaton allies. We've seen a lot, if you look at the ranger cards, especially in Wind, there's a lot of ranged and distant giving units or allies and abilities. So I fully expect this to be a deck.
Yeah, this fits perfectly into a deck archetype that already exists, that just hasn't seen like a lot of regionals or higher level performance, but is a strong deck, and with support like this, makes it even stronger. Makes it definitely start to compete with the big boys. But allies are bad right now.
Allies are bad, and that's the thing. So, and more than that, Ranger's bad.
Dude.
So it's definitely keep your eye on this card. It is a rare, so hopefully won't get too crazy in like pricing and anything like that, but is definitely a very, very good card, and we'll definitely see play in the future. I don't want to guarantee that, but I almost will guarantee it.
There's no way it won't.
Yeah.
Another card that I think is very set up for the future is Slash and Burn. So this is actually a card that I was hoping would feel pretty good in the current meta, and it doesn't. It is a...
Sorry.
I said that so like bluntly. Is a 2-cost fire action cleric skill, fast, class bonuses cost, 1 less activate, which is crazy. 1-cost fast speed card in cleric that can gather you up to 4 times if you banish fire cards in your graveyard. We really haven't had cards that gather you like an insane amount. We've seen like Cultivate, which really requires a lot more setup than this card, I think. And so it's just interesting to see. I think that this will continue to facilitate some like new strategies in the future. I just don't think it quite has enough yet. But like once we get more gather support or more herb like synergy or whatever, this is one of those cards that's going to be like, oh, like this new card that came out that synergizes with like old cards. This is going to be a keystone piece of that. I think this is probably, if we had to rank these, I would put this probably at like 5 out of the list that we're doing. But with a like asterisk of if this type of play gets more support, it could easily be like a super, super crazy card, right?
And we are getting a new cleric, which could definitely have an effect on herbs and gathering and all that kind of stuff too. So
tokens, right? So you know, like we even messed around with Neos, using this card, paying 2 for it, not even utilizing the herbs, but just making 4 tokens to synergize with tokens. Neos is bad.
Yeah, Neos is bad.
Yeah.
And speaking of the last card, which is it's funny because we're talking about all these cards that could be good in the future, but they're just so bad right now.
Yeah.
One of them being Surging Undertow is a 4-cost fast action ranger skill, but it could cost 2 less if you're a ranger with class bonus. And then you put the top 3 cards of your deck into your graveyard. Then if there are 3 or more water cards in your graveyard, choose a unit and it becomes distant. So it's a distant giver for 2. And it mills you 3 cards, again, for 2, and at fast speed.
Yeah.
Those are all insane, features of the card, effects of a card. Biggest problem being is that Ranger is not good right now. Ranger is feeling very lackluster. There's just other cards that in other decks that just do the exact same thing, but better, essentially, and safer, or more consistently. Like, there's just a lot of things that doesn't lend itself to you wanting to play Ranger. It's in a weak spot. But this card is similar to Sinking into Oblivion, but it can only mill yourself, but you can't do it fast speed, and it can only cost 2. So there's like a different things to go with that. I'm sure there's going to be other things as HCN comes out. There's going to be, I'm sure, more Ranger support.
Yeah.
We started seeing stuff with bows and like in water specifically, there was bows and arrows and stuff like that you could mill that also had floating memory.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where this is leaning towards. It's going to be cool to see. Keep your eye on this one. Again, it's a rare, so nicely it's not an SR that's going to be like insanely jump in price. There will be at least more of these around.
No, but I mean, and obviously this is not financial advice, but like this video can be kind of also hey, maybe pick up these cards while they're cheap, right?
Sure.
Like
if they're 10 cents, might as well get a play.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Like rares are usually, like a little bit of money just because it's a rare, right? And so but if this card becomes, 50 cents a dollar or something like that because it's just like really not played, might be a good idea to just spend literally a couple bucks and buy it. And then that way I can't count how many GA cards we've seen spike from $1 to like nearly $10 each.
Yeah.
And so, again, not financial advice, but kind of that like, hey, keep an eye on these. If you have 2 already, maybe pick up 2 more for $1 and then get your playset complete. And then if the card ever becomes crazy, you already have them. You don't have to worry about finding them. Because that's another thing is not only the price spikes, but they can become really hard to find all of a sudden. I'm going to put you on the spot, Isaac. I have picked out a card already, but I'm going to wait and let you go first. What is your either least favorite card from the set or just the set? Okay, done. Okay, what is that?
What was the other?
Or like what you think is the worst card or something.
Well,
or both.
Okay, there's a couple.
Okay.
But I will stick with just one because I think
I
think there's a lot of cool cards. I think a lot of things could have play. I do think the worst one probably is going to be Glo Spire Prowler.
Yeah.
Not only because Ranger is bad right now, and it could see use case in the future. If they print, the only time this card's going to be good, it's not even going to be that good, is if curses on your champion can become a benefit.
Sure.
If they don't become a benefit in some way, and not just like, it has to be like a constant benefit. It can't just be like heal 2 for each one you get rid of on yourself because now you're minusing a card. And you're healing, but those cards were already minusing you, so it's kind of like, it's like a weird double-edged sword thing. They make you so much more vulnerable. So anyway, that's the only time this card's going to be good, and even then, you're simply just getting it is a 1-drop 3/3, but then if it dies, it's going to hurt you.
Yep.
And it's going to draw you a card and recover you some and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you would have rather done damage to your opponent or really put on like this huge pressure once you're level 3. That's the biggest thing about being level 3. You're spending all this time and safety to get to level 3, and there should be a big payoff effect.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to play 2 other cards before this card costs 1, and then you have to play this card. That's way too many resources to get a 3/3 on board.
Yep.
How about you?
So my least favorite card from ALC Alter, I don't necessarily even think it's the worst card. Kind of is. But my least favorite card is Refabrication because
come on, man, stop,
dude. Because I saw this card get spoiled, and I went, oh, Astra got 2 new cards, Umbra and Neos got 1 new card, and Astra, it's fair. It's had its time in isolation, right? It was not a good deck for a while, but when we saw these spoilers, it was the best deck out of these 3. Mm-hmm. And so just seeing that Umbra and Neos only got 1 card each with, frankly, how unplayable they are, and reading both the cards, we knew Umbras just didn't do anything right now in the current game state at all. It was just like a immediately dismissal. Not a frozen dismissal, but a dismissal of that card. But Refabrication, it is my least favorite card from the set because I saw it and I said, that still probably doesn't do anything for Tony, but we gotta try it. And we played like 2 games with Neos and said, this doesn't do anything at all. Actually, I think like one of those games we didn't even run Refabrication. We were trying something else too. And so, come on, Weebs, what are you doing with Neos, man? Refabrication, such a bait card. We gotta get some good Neos cards up in here.
It's an interesting card. It just won't quite get there because Neos doesn't have any payoff to getting to level 3 that is impactful enough, like I just said about Umbra. So well, it's cool that we both chose the 3rd element cards of the decks that are elements that are just trash. So maybe that says something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.